In this video, I will give you every player that you need to succeed for the Afternoon Express slate on FanDuel for Week 8 of the NFL in 5 minutes or less. My name's Quick Pick Nick, and having simulated a couple 100,000 different combinations using personally calculated projections in FanDuel's pricing scheme, here are your locks and lotteries for tomorrow afternoon, Sunday, November 1st. If you like this kind of fast-paced calculated content, subscribe and stay tuned for more lineups throughout the season, including a Sunday Night Football video tomorrow morning, as well as a Monday Night Football video to follow. Note that these picks are recommended for the Afternoon Express slate only, meaning any selections made here might not carry over to other slates. Starting off with our pair of running backs, my model chose Alvin Kamara and David Montgomery. With Michael Thomas sidelined for yet another week, Kamara remains the only big name on the Saints, and if New Orleans wants a chance to break out ahead of Chicago, Kamara will be their go-to. In addition to recording over 60 rushing yards per game, Kamara has managed nearly 77 receiving yards per game, ranking first in receiving yards, targets, and receptions per game, and second in receiving touchdowns per game among running backs. While $9,000 on FanDuel is steep, it's still well worth the expense for value both through the air and on the ground that tops any other option in this slate. Montgomery was chosen because he has been able to and is going to be required to continue to serve as Chicago's lead back and workhorse in the backfield. With Tariq Cohen out for the season, the Bears have already started feeding Montgomery, giving him 14 attempts last week alone and 19 the week before. He's getting attention in the passing game as well, averaging over 5 receptions per game since week 5. $5,800 on FanDuel isn't really that much either, considering that he's the cheapest running back one in this slate. Working backwards a bit to the Lockett quarterback, my model recommends Russell Wilson. While Wilson is averaging over 30 fantasy points per game on the season, no other quarterback this afternoon even breaks 20 per game. In addition, although San Francisco's defense might seem intimidating at first, they really haven't played anyone too impressive or proved much at all, given their schedule included the Eagles, Giants, Jets, and Dolphins, so their high defensive ranking comes from relatively weaker opponents. Wilson will be sure to make a quick adjustment to this perhaps inflated ranking tonight, as the top-ranked quarterback in the league in both passing yards and passing touchdowns tears apart the 49ers secondary. The next lock my model found is at tight end, that being George Kittle. Kittle has been San Francisco's go-to, averaging the most yards per game of 87 and the most receptions per game of 7 as a tight end. Additionally, Seattle's defense has been nothing short of, well, nothing recently, ranking last in the NFL in passing yards allowed, with just about 370 allowed through the air per game. The final lock for this lineup is a lock in and of himself in a way, as our first receiver will be Tyler Lockett. Lockett had an insane game last week, scoring the most fantasy points this year with 45.5 points from 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now obviously we can't expect this exact production again, but it's hard to ignore the fact that Lockett is Wilson's go-to guy, scoring the most touchdowns per game in the league and hauling in the 4th most receptions per game in the league with 7.5. Before getting into the lotteries, one player I would consider a limbo is Lockett's direct competition in terms of fantasy performance, DK Metcalf. These two receivers are Wilson's main targets throughout every game and typically account for most of the fantasy production coming from Seattle overall. With both Lockett and Metcalf, we're pretty much covered for most big plays we can expect on Sunday. The reason Metcalf is a limbo and Lockett is a lock, though, is due to the fact that Metcalf is priced $600 more on FanDuel than Lockett, and if I had to pick just one, Lockett is the cheaper, more consistent option, but in this lineup, we are able to take both. For the lottery at wide receiver, my model picked Kendrick Bourne. With Deebo Samuel inactive for this contest, Bourne is set up to have a successful day here for all the reasons I mentioned earlier about Seattle's abhorrent defense, as well as the fact that Bourne can now get bumped up to second on San Francisco's depth chart. For the flex and defense, there are actually two options I wanted to share because they came so close in the simulation. The first option includes Darnell Mooney, Chicago's breakout wide receiver, and the Saints defense. Both options here include Bears receivers, as Allen Robinson at the time of this recording is doubtful, meaning any Chicago receiver will likely get more attention this Sunday. Mooney does have some competition in the locker room though, and if you think that the receiver opposite Mooney of Anthony Miller has a better opportunity to step into a new role in the spotlight, you'll be able to use that $100 to upgrade that defense to Seattle. Again, these two options are pretty much the same. It's just a guessing game at this point as to which Chicago receiver will take advantage of this opportunity. I'm still confident that both will be able to win cash either way. That's what my model was able to come up with for the Afternoon Express slate on FanDuel this November 1st, 2020. This has been Quick Pick Nick, the intersection for sports, data analysis, and speed. Thanks for watching.